Okay, so let's say you're about to give this huge presentation in English, right? The kind that can totally skyrocket your career. But instead of just dreaming about it, imagine having the tools to actually make it happen. That's where Stuttaford Academy comes in, and today we're doing a deep dive into how they're turning those ambitions into reality.
And what I find really fascinating about Stuttaford is that they're not just teaching English, they're treating it as a tool for you to reach specific professional goals.
So it's less about memorizing verb tenses and more about, say, confidently leading that international team you've always envisioned.
Exactly. Stuttaford's entire approach is built around customizing lessons to your industry, career goals, and even how you learn best.
Yeah, I was actually reading about their role-playing scenarios. They have you prepping for a crucial meeting all in English, almost like you're sparring with a language partner. I can see how that would be incredibly helpful for someone about to present at a global conference.
Absolutely, and that personalized approach is at the heart of their personal teacher model. Each student gets a dedicated instructor who really takes the time to understand their strengths, weaknesses, and aspirations.
So it's not just some generic language program then. You're building a connection with a real person who's invested in your success.
That's right. The PT model addresses a key challenge in language learning: staying motivated. That one-on-one support can make all the difference.
It's like having a personal trainer, but for your English skills.
Mm.
And they don't stop at just speaking, do they?
Not at all.
No.
They cover fluency, grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, all the essential elements to ensure that you are developing a well-rounded skill set. They're preparing you for those high-stakes situations you might encounter in a global marketplace.
I imagine those skills would be invaluable whether you're navigating a complex negotiation or simply traveling internationally with more confidence.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting. They've even incorporated AI-generated podcasts for on-the-go learning.
Wow. So you could be brushing up on industry-specific jargon while on your commute. That's incredibly helpful for busy professionals trying to fit learning into their day. What I'm gathering here is that Stuttaford understands its students aren't learning English just for fun. They're looking to gain a real edge in the global marketplace.
Absolutely. They highlight stories from their alumni who have used their Stuttaford skills to conduct successful negotiations, lead teams in English-speaking environments, and present at international conferences. They even have one about an alum who was able to step into a leadership role in an entirely English-speaking environment.
That's amazing. It really speaks volumes about the effectiveness of their methods. But it can't just be about the big wins, right? What about those smaller everyday situations?
They've got those covered too. Stuttaford wants you to feel comfortable using English in any situation, no matter how big or small.
So we've been talking about how Stuttaford prepares you for these real-world scenarios, but what does that actually look like in practice? What can someone expect in, say, a typical Stuttaford class?
Well, calling it typical is tough because the experience is so personalized. But generally, they take a very interactive and practical approach.
Okay.
Think role-playing, case studies, problem-solving exercises, things that get you using the language in a real way.
So less about grammar rules, more about actually doing things with the language.
Exactly. They believe you learn best by actually using the language in situations you might encounter professionally. Imagine prepping for an important negotiation, drafting a critical email, even practicing a presentation, all in English with expert guidance.
Yeah, it's like having a safe space to make those inevitable mistakes before you're in the hot seat for real.
Precisely. And they don't just throw you in the deep end. They use materials from Pearson, a respected name in language learning, and then supplement those with their own custom materials tailored to your specific needs.
So whether it's industry-specific jargon or prepping for a big conference, they've got you covered.
Okay, I have to admit, the more we get into this, the more impressed I am. But let's talk about the elephant in the room with language learning: staying motivated. How does Stuttaford handle that?
Well, we've touched on a big one: the personalized instruction. Having that dedicated instructor who's truly invested in your success can be incredibly motivating.
It's like having that built-in accountability partner, someone to keep you on track when the going gets tough.
Exactly. And because their approach is so focused on real-world situations, you're constantly seeing how what you're learning translates to your professional life.
It's not just about these abstract skills anymore. It's about achieving tangible results in your career.
And don't forget the flexibility they offer. Stuttaford gets that their students have busy lives, so they offer a range of scheduling options to fit even the most packed schedules.
Well, yeah. I imagine that takes a lot of the pressure off.
It does. They're removing those common barriers so their students can actually prioritize their English learning. Speaking of removing barriers, what about the cost? We all know language programs can be a significant investment.
You're right. A premium program like Stuttaford will come with a price tag that reflects that. However, it's crucial to remember that you're not buying a product, you're investing in yourself and your future.
Yeah, it's about that long-term return on that investment.
Yeah.
Think about the career opportunities that could open up if you're able to operate confidently in English on a global scale.
That's exactly it. And that's what makes Stuttaford so compelling. They're not just teaching a language, they're unlocking potential.
It's about transformation, isn't it? Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the tailored approach, the real-world focus, the amazing personal teacher model, even the scheduling flexibility. But let's bring it back to our listener for a moment. Imagine someone who's on the fence about taking that leap with Stuttaford. What would you say to convince them?
I'd ask them this. What's holding you back? You know the world is becoming more globalized every single day, and English is essential for success in international business. Investing in your English skills is no longer optional. It's a necessity if you're serious about advancing your career.
It's like they say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The second best time is now.
Exactly. And with Stuttaford, you're not just planting a seed, you're getting the tools and support to help it thrive. Imagine yourself a year from now, confidently navigating a high-stakes negotiation in English or delivering a presentation to an international audience without breaking a sweat.
Right.
That could be you. That could be your reality.
It's not just about the language, is it? It's about the confidence that you gain, the connections you can make, the doors that open when you can communicate effectively on that global stage.
Absolutely. It's about expanding your horizons both personally and professionally. Who knows, this one decision to invest in yourself could have a ripple effect on your entire life.
It's about becoming the best version of yourself, both in your career and beyond. And based on everything we've learned, Stuttaford Academy seems uniquely equipped to help you do just that. They're not just teaching English, they're empowering people to reach their full potential.
And that's an incredibly powerful mission.
It really is. So for anyone listening who feels that spark of ambition, that desire to break through barriers and reach new heights, take a moment to picture what your life could be like with enhanced English skills. That vision, that feeling of possibility, that's the power of Stuttaford Academy.